Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So tomorrow, payments worth up to $943 are going to be going out to certain individuals of Social Security. We're going to be going over who is going to be receiving those payments, plus the payment schedule for the month ahead in July. Plus, Trump versus Biden. We're going to be going over some recent polling which suggests which of these two has the best chance of winning. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd really just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock, is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so first off, we're going to dive into some polling between the current president and Joe Biden and the former president and Donald Trump, and it's expected to be a close one, pretty much a toss-up. It could go either way, and it's really going to come down to a few of the swing states and which direction those are going to go. So is Trump or Biden going to win Arizona? Who's going to win Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and of course Georgia as well, which has suddenly turned into a swing state? We'll have to see. Those are going to be some very important states to look at, and there's actually some polls out there that suggest that Trump actually has a chance to win the state of Minnesota. If Trump actually wins the state of Minnesota, which is actually a very blue state, then it's pretty much over. I don't see any way that Biden is going to win any of the other states, really, at least the swing states, if Trump does in fact win the state of Minnesota. But just looking at some recent polls here, this is from a few days ago, back on Thursday, June 27th. We see one poll here by the New York Times / Siena. Trump is leading this poll by 4 points overall. And then we have one where we have all the third-party candidates mixed in. So we have Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West versus Stein. And in this one, Trump actually, interestingly enough, does a little bit worse, where he actually only wins by 3 instead of by 4. This one also was by New York Times and Siena. And then we can look at another poll here by Quinnipiac. This is also, of course, just Trump versus Biden. And just like the New York Times poll, Trump in this one is leading by 4 points. And then in another one where we're throwing all these other candidates in the mix, where we have Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West versus Stein. This one is also by Quinnipiac. Trump is leading this one by even more, by 6 points. But yet we have this one by Economist / YouGov, where it's actually a tie when we compare Trump versus Biden versus Kennedy versus West versus Stein. And interestingly enough, Kennedy actually comes up with 11 points in the general election in the Quinnipiac poll. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people, how many voters change their mind and end up voting for Kennedy instead of Biden, or maybe Kennedy instead of Trump. Obviously, Kennedy was going to run against Biden in the Democratic primary, but they sort of changed the rules and made it very impossible for RFK Jr. to have much of a chance to beat Biden, so he ended up dropping out of the race. So you would think, with that said, that you would have more Democrats voting for RFK Jr. than you would have Republicans voting for RFK Jr., but of course we will have to wait and see on that. Now, as far as the battleground states go, once again, these are going to be the real states that actually determine who ends up winning, because we all know that California and New York for sure are going to be voting for Biden, just like we know that, let's say, like Texas and Florida are going to be voting for Trump. But there's states in the middle, those purple states that could really go either direction, where we're really going to be looking at those independents. Those are the states that are really going to matter the most. So up on the screen, we can see the battleground states. So Arizona, Trump leads by 5.6 points. Nevada, Trump leads by 4 points. Wisconsin right now is a complete toss-up. It's a tie. Michigan right now, Trump leads by 0.2 points. Pennsylvania, Trump leads by 2.8 points. Virginia, Biden is actually leading Virginia by 2.2 points. That really should not be a battleground state. And then finally, right now, Georgia leads by 4 points. So again, it's going to be very interesting to see how things shake out. We still have a few months before the election takes place. And of course, we should have one more debate take place. We'll have to see what ends up happening in that. Now, of course, in some other news, tomorrow we're going to have certain beneficiaries of Social Security receive their first payment in the month of July. So according to AS, there's going to be 2 Social Security payments on the first week of July. Who will receive it? So the Social Security Administration is preparing to begin sending payments for the month of July, and on the first week of the month, 2 checks will be sent. Just as it does every month, the agency will send out benefits to retired workers, survivors, and recipients of Social Security Disability Insurance and Supplemental Security Income, SSI. So basically, on July 1st, those payments are going to be going out to SSI recipients. And then on Wednesday, July 3rd, payments will be sent to those who began receiving their retirement payments before May of 1997, or if you receive both SSI and Social Security as well. And then as far as everyone else receiving Social Security benefits, you're going to receive it on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of the month, depending on the date that you were born. But those payments tomorrow, once again on July 1st, are going to be going to SSI recipients, so you will have to be on the lookout for that. Now, on the payment schedule, you will see up there on the screen there in the bottom left-hand corner, once again, tomorrow, Monday, July 1st, those payments are going to be going out. $943 is going to be the maximum that SSI beneficiaries can receive. Then we have payments going out on July 3rd. Once again, that's if you started receiving Social Security benefits before May of 1997, or if you receive both SSI and Social Security retirement benefits. And then the following Wednesday, on July 10th, those are the payments going out to beneficiaries born between the 1st and 10th of any given month. Then the following Wednesday on the 17th, if you're born between the 11th and 20th, that's when you're going to receive your payment. And then finally, the last payments going out in July 24th, those are going to be going to beneficiaries born on the 21st or later of any given month. Now, in some other news in regards to SSI beneficiaries, there's something called the asset limit. And right now, members of Congress are trying to raise that for single individuals up to $10,000, where it currently sits at $2,000. And for married couples, where it currently sits at $3,000, they're wanting to increase that all the way up to $20,000. And there's a strong case for doing so. You can look at the chart up here on the screen. We can see right now the current limits, which have been frozen since 1989. So even though all the inflation has taken place over the past few decades, they have not updated these limits since 1989 for whatever reason. But if we take inflation into account, you can see right there in the blue for individuals, if inflation had been taken into effect, that would be all the way up to $10,000. And then for couples, it would be slightly below $15,000. And it's interesting, they note here on the Congressional Budget Office website that after SSI was enacted, federal policy began to encourage workers to accumulate savings to fund their retirements, even as they continue to penalize SSI beneficiaries if they manage to save anything at all, either for emergencies or for retirement. Individual retirement accounts, IRAs, were created in 1974 and 401ks in 1978 after SSI and its research limits were established. So they're setting all these different SSI resource limits and asset limits, saying you can only have $2,000 for individuals, $3,000 for couples. And they're not encouraging them to save at all. $2,000 and $3,000 obviously is not going to go nearly as far as what it did back in 1989. Even back in 1989, it wasn't like a large sum of money. But today, $2,000 and $3,000 is barely going to cover any type of emergency. So time to update these. It's a bipartisan bill in Congress. It just comes down to whether or not they actually want to vote on it. I believe they should very soon. They need to make this a priority, but leave your thoughts and comments below on that. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.